Good evening, YouTube. This is Kaylin Stern coming at you with my regular Sunday night dinner. And the reason why I have the ration sideways is because it is huge. And again, I am not able to add a thumbnail before I start when I'm doing this setup. So I will add it later. So I am bringing the stream up on my tablet so I can see the chat. So I'm going to slide this way a little bit. What we have, I'm not sure if it is Dutch. Everything, or mostly everything, is Orifro, which comes from Denmark. This is very similar to that Dutch ration that I did a few months ago that I purchased. But this one is the one that I traded that extra Ukrainian 24-hour ration to Mike Kreischer. So this is menu 1. So that is why Mike Kreischer's mug comes out tonight. So first off, let's get this thing started. I have already gone through the bag just to look at anything for a date, and I got a date off of one of the Orifo items. So the first thing I will pull out is a corn muesli. I actually sent, this is the same one that I sent to Mike Kreischer in his box because I just chose not to try that one. And this one, apple blueberry vanilla muesli. So they suggest both of these for the breakfast. I'm going to put those aside. And this is what is known as the energy module. It's a pack of snacks. See, there's gum, there's a patch of tuna in there. I'll get into that in a bit. Here we have some tortillas from Bridgeford. I'll bring this up close so you can see that it does come from Bridgeford. I'm not sure how many are in there. It could be 2, could be 3. Then we have a brew kit, which also includes an instant soup. So I'll get into that in a bit. And then we have 7 additional drinks. This is a Whey 100 protein drink. It is vanilla milkshake, so it's vanilla flavored protein drink. And for the other drink powders, there are 2 each of orange, 2 each of my favorite grapefruit, and then 2 each of the exotic. The last one of these that I had, there was 2 grapefruits, there was 2 exotics, and then there's 1 orange, and then another flavor, I forget what that one was. That one was in a red pack. And then these are wet pack. The entrees in here are wet pack. .400 grams of Indian rice stew with chicken meatballs. And I can feel the meatball. They're about the size of the old Jolly Ranchers, if you remember those back in the days, or the atomic fireballs. The previous version of this ration I had the freeze-dried entrees. And the other retort pouch is goring noodles, but it has spaghetti. And so this is chicken flavor. Might actually have some chicken in it, so 2 chicken entrees. We got emphasis here, Average Joe from north of the border. And I'm not sure if this is Dutch or Danish. There's nothing on the front of the bag to say where this comes from. So if Mike Kreischer comes in, he will have to clue me in. I'm going to put the entrees aside, put the tortillas aside. I'm going to get into this, what they call the energy module or the accessory pack. It comes in a Ziploc bag with a little hang hole, like you might find on a retail package in a store. So we have a very, very colorful pack of tissues. These are Paloma brand, same that you would find in British rations, your standard pocket tissues. Nutwalker barbecue peanuts. It's going to be awesome. And a very interesting spoon. It looks like it is a wood pulp pressed with a resin or something like that to turn it into a spoon. Of course, I will be using my foreign MRE Sport, but I will be saving that spoon. We have something stuck to the back of the tuna pack. I think the peanut butter leaked. So there is a toothpick. I will have to clean that up. That is sticky. Nope, this is apricot jam. So I believe the apricot jam leaked, but I will clean that up. I'll have to clean up the tuna. And here is vanilla flavored cake. Orfo puts these in 6 different languages. A vitamin D3 tablet. I'm going to have to clean that up. And this is the same type of individually wrapped and segmented biscuits or crackers that I got in the previous one. It's like a whole wheat squared biscuit, and you can separate these. A chocolate hazelnut spread, kind of like a Nutella. Cereal bar, and this one is apple cinnamon. A peppermint chewing gum. There are 2 pieces in there. There is another gum in here. This one is spearmint. Two wet wipes. These are a larger packet than the USMRE wet wipes. A peanut butter. And it feels a whole lot different than American peanut butter. It seems to have more, doesn't seem to be as thick as American peanut butter. And then the last item in here the fruit biscuits. And it feels like some of them have taken a bit of a hit. See, Mike Kreischer's in the house. So is this Dutch or Danish? Since the outer bag does not say which one. I'm going to put everything in here that I'm not going to use that does not need to be cleaned up. Then the apricot jam leaked, so I'll be cleaning that out. I'm going to go ahead and put the protein shake powder back in here. I will be pulling stuff back out of this bag once I decide what I'm going to eat for my dinner tonight. Okay, so we'll go with Dutch. So later on I'll take that question mark off of the title. And again, I apologize for no thumbnail because for some reason the YouTube app, when I go to put the thumbnail in, whether I upload or just take a picture, it reverts back to the app itself and kicks me out of the stream setup. So the brew kit, this just says this is English breakfast tea, green tea, black tea with lemon flavor, got a packet of salt, three coffee sticks, one for the mug, got a packet of pepper, got spicy sauce, instant cocoa, like a hot cocoa mix, vegetable flavor instant soup, and then this one, the curry soup, but it is a hard block. It completely solidified, and as you can tell, something inside the label has discolored compared to that one, so I don't know. I'm guessing moisture must have got in here. So you got sugars. There's three sugars, actually 4 sugars, 5 sugars, and only 1 coffee creamer. That's in the brew kit. The Carlos Perry's here. So I'm going to put 1 sugar and the only creamer into the mug. Everything else will go back into the brew kit. Although the spicy sauce might stay out. And I will put the teas back in. Since I have 2 of each of these drinks, I'm going to go ahead and put oh, there goes my water bottle. Good thing it not open. I'm going to put those back in the ration bag. And my segment of biscuits fell out of the snack bag. I'll put the brew kit back in there since I have already selected my hot drink. Yeah, the grapefruit is my favorite. So I'm happy to have a second one for a later time. So for the entree, which one of these should I start with first? The goring noodles or the Indian rice stew with the chicken meatballs? For my third meal, I will have the tuna and one of the soups. I'm intrigued by both, but I'm kind of leaning towards the Indian rice stew with the chicken meatballs for tonight. These are both 400-gram entrees in gusseted pouches. And there are 2 tear notches. No, actually only one tear notch up here, so yeah, I'm I'm definitely intrigued by the chicken meatballs. So I'll put the gory noodles back in. I'm going to go ahead and put the two mueslis back in. So I got those back in the bag, and I will be using a Walgreens bag for my trash bag, since obviously I want to hold on to the ration bag. I think I will go with the exotic for tonight. It has kind of a light pastel orange color. I'm going to go about there. These usually call for 500 mils of water, but I go with what the capacity is of my drinking jar. Kind of looks like a combination of orange and pineapple, as far as color, at least to me it does. There's waffles and spicy tuna rolls in the house. I'm going to get my little cheaters to cut these packets open. Freeze-dried coffee. And I'm putting in the sugar. And there's only one coffee creamer, but I think there's supposed to be more. After all, there are 3 coffee packets in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this into the kitchen, start that heating up, and I'm going to take in these other things that we'll need to clean up from the jam leaking. And then I will come back with the water for the coffee, and then I will choose my other stuff. I am back. I got those things cleaned up, and oddly enough, I could not find a leak in the apricot jam packet. So it could have been just something in the filling of it, but I squeezed the packet, I could not get any jam to come out. But yet it smelled like the apple or the apricot jam. And as far as now these, I'm going to save these tortillas. I think they will go perfect with the tuna. No chocolate bar in this one. But I am going to have, these. And I will go ahead and open up this apricot jam. So I'm going to put that. I'm going to put that on these. That's awesome. You got to have a little bit of fun. And these easily tear apart. Yep, this is what I use at Cheaters. That one is intact, so that's cool. And that one is intact, so that's awesome. And a couple of crumbs in there. Oh, I bet they did. Did this one make it? Nope. This one was one of these three that busted. But that's okay. Looks like this here tore, but if I can tear it just right, I can get it open. So there's the strawberry jam, or the apricot jam on one of them. Don't offer much for dessert in this, but I think I want to save that pound cake. For when I do have the tuna. So I will pull out the cereal bar. I'll go ahead and open that up. I think it's time to go get that entree out of the water and bring it in. And I got the spicy sauce off to the side. I'm not sure if I want to use it or not, but we'll see what happens. I am back. I have the entree. See, the pouch stands up very well. I use this dome lid from my everyday cookware as a carrier to bring this in from the kitchen. And I have a paper towel that I'm going to use to start drying it off so I can handle it. I like it when I can get that whole top strip off. Here comes Indian rice stew with chicken meatballs. So there's a red bell pepper in here, there's carrot, there's a chicken meatballs, and there may be I'm not sure if that is chicken or if it is potato, but I'm going to go ahead and take a bite of this. Oh no, that's cabbage. There's cabbage in here, which gives it a bit of a nice tang to it. The rice is quite soft. So there is a carrot. A carrot literally disintegrates. And these red bell peppers will probably be the same. There's kind of hit by a carrot. The skin was left on the bell pepper, so you get that little bit of chew. I spilled some of the entree on the jam packet. Now I'm gonna cut open a meatball, which is very easy to do with the spoon into my spork. And there is a close-up of what it looks like on the inside. It is definitely a ground chicken, but very good. And we got multi-magnum in the house. Thanks for dropping in. This is a Dutch ration. It has been confirmed by Mike Kreischer. This is menu 1. So I will get 3 streams out of this. This is Indian rice stew with chicken meatballs. A lot less rice than I thought would be in here. But it's got a mix of vegetables. It's got cabbage, carrots, and red bell pepper. It's got a bit of a tang to it, which I like. The rice and the veggies are very soft. The cabbage has the firmest texture to it. But it's still really, really good. I don't think this needs the spicy sauce. I may save it for next week. I'm going to do the goring noodles next week. But this is really good. Even though a lot of it is soft, I really do like the flavor. It's got turmeric, which gives that yellow color. And I traded this for the duplicate Ukrainian 24-hour ration that I had. I got 2 of those from a seller, and I didn't mind getting 2 of them. So I decided to trade one off. Mike Kreischer was interested in it, so I let him have it. And I got this. Of course, we both loaded up the shipping box. Again, I have the exotic drink in the old drinking jar. Needs a bit of a mix. A lot of powder in these, so it is sugar based. And even though I use less than recommended amount of water, the flavor is very light. It's not so strong that you would want to go with more water, but I think the amount of water my drinking jar holds is fine. I'm going to go ahead and take a bite of this cracker with the jam on it. It is definitely a wheat cracker. They kind of remind me of a wheat thin, but with a different texture. Now this is, then I'll show the bag, a 2023 Dutch 24-hour ration. This is menu 1, the wet pack. And the entree is an Indian rice stew with chicken meatballs. This is the apple cinnamon cereal bar, and it has raisins in it. Got apricot jam. And these are the whole wheat biscuits. There's 3 of them. Got the exotic drink and coffee. There's only 1 creamer in this whole pack, but that's okay. Next time I will be drinking either one of the teas or the cocoa, so I will not be wanting creamer. Yeah, that's okay. This I will cut open another meatball. And there's a close-up of the inside. They're moist, but they're not. They're dense enough so they hold their shape. They're not really dry. I do like these meatballs. Even the meatballs have a bit of that tang from sitting in this sauce. Got carrots, corn, and cabbage for the vegetables. And there was a bean I just ate, so there's maybe a few. Yep, that was so far the first bean. So there is one of the beans. It's almost crunchy, but yet it's fully cooked. Would have been nice to see more of that. Again, there's less rice than I thought would be in here. And it's also very, very soft. I do like that coffee. That is a decent coffee. Take a bite of this apple cinnamon cereal bar. I don't think there may be bits of apple, but it may just be apple juice. But I can taste the raisins in there. So it's a chewy bar. It's not a really crunchy bar. The wheat biscuits are very, very dry, so putting something all over it definitely helps. Might put just another little squeeze of that jam on there. We've actually missed. Oh well, I'll be putting more on that corner anyway, or on that second biscuit. I would say, other than a little bit of leakage onto some of these things from when this jam packet was filled, everything is really good. I think this had a best buy date. I'm going to go with 2025, so just last year. So it's 20 grams, less than an ounce. I figure that would be perfect for putting on these 3 wheat biscuits. Now, these are good sized meatballs, because I'm not doing a very good job of splitting them even, but that's okay. Get a bit of everything in a bite. Minus the bean. I don't know if there are any more of those beans in here. So far I've only found 2. Yeah, there's a meetup of a few. It's extremely difficult for me to get somewhere Now, travel is my biggest issue, being that I do not drive. And trying to afford a plane ticket, forget that. Someone would have to take me to the nearest Amtrak station, which is not in Des Moines, which I think is really odd that there's no Amtrak service to Des Moines itself. And the interstate bus, that would be my best option if I did not get a ride from someone else. Yeah, see, that's the problem. It'd be almost like going to the edge of the state. And that is Tim Riley, who just slid in. Or slid into the chat. He may have been watching for a while, but just now dropped his first comment. But yeah, I am definitely liking this menu. I like this kind of food. My first experience with legit Indian food was, I think back in '92. I was with a group that I was attending classes at DMAC, Des Moines Area Community College at the time. And I was with a group that went over to a church that has a lot of people who are originally from India or descendants of those who came from India, and others who just plain like Indian food. And so we had a lunch, and a dish like this was not in there, but there were a couple of different curry dishes. One of them was extremely spicy, and a black man who was sitting across from me bit into a hot pepper that was covered by the sauce, so he didn't see it, and oh boy, that set him on fire. It was like steam was coming off of his forehead. So I told him to eat a piece of bread or cracker, whatever, something like that was nearby, to cut the heat. But once he finally got his head back, so to speak, he laughed at himself for doing that. Yeah, he laughed at biting into such a hot pepper that he had steam coming off his forehead. Well, I'm glad someone's kid had a fun birthday party. My great niece is about to start her sophomore year of high school. I find that hard to believe. I still want to think of her as this little kid going into first grade, but nope, she is a sophomore in high school. She is a cheerleader, and I think she does some other extracurricular activities that are attached to the school. She goes to East High School, which is actually not too far from where I'm at. Yeah, I hope Marilyn is doing okay. Got the exotic drink. It's kind of a tropical fruit blend that's in that particular one. There is CR in the house, also from north of the border. Got some Indian style stew with rice and veggies, chicken meatballs. And this is really good. There's cabbage, there's carrot, there's red bell pepper, and I think I may have found the third bean. It's kind of like a lima bean. Nope, that was cabbage. It's got a bit of a tang to it, which I really like. Now the veggies and the rice are really soft, but the two beans are very firm. This is the two that I found so far. Meatballs are nice and firm. They're not dry, even on the inside, which is nice. Apple cinnamon cereal bar. It's a soft bar. It does have raisins in it, so the raisin flavor might be masking the apple. And I got apricot jam on these whole wheat biscuits. One of the biscuits broke, but that's okay. These are not as dense as, say, the brown biscuits or the cheese biscuits or the fruit biscuits. I got the fruit biscuits. They're in the red bag. These are not as dense. In fact, one of them broke. And these remind me of wheat thins, but with a coarse ground texture instead of the stranded wheat. However, they do that to make it look like it's woven. So I thought the apricot jam would go good on this. This one gave me 3 cold drink flavors. I got the exotic. So I got 2 of those, 2 orange, and 2 grapefruit. The grapefruit is my favorite of these Orifol drink flavors. There's also a vanilla dairy You know, like a vanilla flavored dairy protein shake. There's a cocoa mix or 3 teas, 2 more coffees. I got one in my Mike Kreischer mug. There was only 1 creamer. So if I want any of the other 2 coffees, I will get creamer out of my kitchen. Yeah, that's a bit chilly for up there. I was watching a video earlier of a guy who was at his it was off-grid property, but he got electricity hooked up. He did some of the work himself, but that is in Ohio, and it was only in the 60s. So he shot the video today and edited it before, and then uploaded it all today, and it was in the 60s at the time he was shooting his video up where he's at in Ohio. He lives in another state, but this second property is in Ohio. And then once he and his wife fully retire, they will sell their main house and move onto this other property. So he's building there, but it was in the 60s today. Yeah, it got up to the 80 here today. That's 80 Fahrenheit. Not as much of this jam as what would be in USMRE, but that's okay because only 3 of these biscuits and 1 of those broke. But I'm okay with that. It's all going down the same hole anyway. Thanks for dropping in, Mike. And again, thanks for doing this trade. I am really enjoying it. I hope you enjoy the Ukrainian ration that I sent to you. And speaking of the rations, I went ahead and swapped out my ration boxes. I moved what has been my secondary ration box, which I have some loose stuff in. I moved that where my main ration box was, that old 2012, that 2012 Sapaco low sodium case. I have been using that for my main ration box. So right now, the 2 unopened MREs, the 2022 pack that I have left from that case A that I bought off Amazon several months ago, or maybe last year. I don't remember when I bought it. It might have been earlier in the year. But I have 2 left from that. Plus I have that XMRE pizza, which I have added to, and that will be in the prize box when I do my 1500 giveaway. I have some additional items that I will be throwing in there. And then my secondary ration box is now my halal MRE case that has their 2026 pack. So they are fresh. They were packed earlier this year, and I have 2 of one menu. I was hoping to have 1 of every menu, but I did get 1 double. So I may offer that one in trade, or I may sell it in a Facebook ration group I'm in. And you see that when you watch the unboxing video of that, where I opened that case and showed all the menus. Took by V in the house, thanks for dropping in. This is a Behemoth Dutch 24-hour ration, menu 1. This is packed in 2023. There is a lot of stuff. I am going to get 3 streams out of that bag. Got apricot jam on whole wheat biscuit. This is Indian rice stew with chicken meatballs and veggies. Apple cinnamon cereal bar. It does have raisins in it. Exotic drink in the drinking jar, and I got coffee in my mug. But I am really enjoying this, even though the rice and the veggies are soft. I found only 2 beans. They're very firm, but I love the tang this has, and it even goes through into the meatballs, so that nice tang has permeated into them. There is a look at the inside of one of the meatballs. This is a 400-gram pouch of this. The other wet pack entree that is in here in this ration is gory noodles, chicken flavor, but it's not a ramen noodle. It uses a spaghetti type noodle. It is a wet pack. Apparently chicken was the theme for the main entrees in this ration. There are also 2 instant soup packets, 1 vegetable, 1 curry. And the last time I had one of these rations, I took that curry soup mix and I added it into one of the freeze-dried entrees. And I think I did the same thing with the other instant soup. It was a vegetable as well. I added that into the other freeze-dried entree, and that worked out really well. I really enjoyed the flavors they had when they were both combined. Unfortunately, the curry soup has solidified. So I think moisture got to it somehow, and the label discolored. It is not white like the vegetable soup label, so I'm not sure what to make of that one. I may not be able to salvage it. But the vegetable soup mix seems in good shape. It is very dry and loose inside that packet. And there's also a tuna packet in this ration, so my third meal will be the tuna, and I will have the tortillas, because there are Bridgeford tortillas in here. So one American product. There are barbecue peanuts in the bag. There is a vanilla cake. There's a chocolate hazelnut spread, kind of like Nutella. And there's peanut butter. And I have the fruit biscuits. I may put the chocolate hazelnut spread on those. As far as the peanut butter, I'm not sure what I'll do with that, if I'll even open that. And this also came with a spicy sauce. I had this one already. It's not extremely spicy, and it's kind of like, it looks kind of like a barbecue sauce. But it's got good flavor though. I have a few of these in a bag in my fridge. I kept it out in case I might want to use it. We'll have to see about the goring noodles. If that will need a little help. But this by itself is perfectly fine. This is more than 8 ounces. I will take out the other retort pouch. This is like double the size of a US MRE pouch. This one actually has 2 tear notches, one here and one here. The one I opened tonight only had one, but this is a gusseted pouch, 400 grams. So it is almost a pound of food in here. Probably like 12 ounces. Like 248 grams, I think, is 8 ounces. Someone can verify that guess. And that absolutely filled this part of my tray. Yeah, it is kind of an orange. You know, the carrots will yield some of their color. There's turmeric in here. The red bell pepper may give off some of its color. You know, whatever else they put into the sauce to make it this color. You know, the apricot jam. The orange drink mix would have been a lot more orange, but I decided to do the exotic. Next week I might go with the grapefruit with the goreng noodles. And then the third week that I'm doing this ration, we'll have the orange drink mix. The next week I will have one of the 3 teas. There is an English breakfast tea. There is a black tea with lemon, and then there is green tea. And then there's a cocoa mix. I will go with that. This ration only had 2 beans in it. They're quite firm. I almost had a crunch to them, even though they're fully cooked. I wouldn't have minded seeing a bit more rice. But the veggies in here definitely nice to have. Something you don't typically see in an American ration meal, cabbage. Yeah, the beta carotene you get. You get some other nutrients from the bell pepper and the cabbage. Tiny bit of fiber since there are only 2 beans. I wouldn't have mind biting into a few more of those beans because I really like those. It was kind of like a lima. And CR has to get some more food. Because I can't share. I can't upload. Which I might. Oh, there's mango juice or mango pulp in here. I'm looking at the ingredients of this Indian stew. Has apple, has pineapple, more like juice, carrot. Oh, those are not beans, those are almonds. That's why it's so crunchy. There are 2 almonds in there, not beans. It doesn't say turmeric, but it does say it's a artificial yellow color. But those fruit juices are what's giving it some of that tang. And it is something you will find in a lot of Indian dishes. You get fruit in in your savory dishes. Now, I haven't had butter beans in a long time either. I might have to find a can and just heat those up. With something else, of course. Yeah, so for anyone who was in here before and now I thought those are beans, those are actually almonds. So anyone who catches the replay, they first hear me talking about beans, and I look in the ingredients list and had almonds, but only two. That's why it was so crunchy. I thought it was a very firm bean, but it was actually an almond. That sauce really overtook the actual flavor of those two almonds. Yeah, don't see too many. When I'm watching shopping haul videos, I don't watch a whole lot of them. But when I do, I very rarely see butter beans. I don't know if they're just not as common as they used to be, or people just don't like them, or what. I don't know. It might be fun to get a can of those butter beans, drain off the liquid, fry up some beef bacon, and then cook them in bacon fat. And then you break up the bacon, the beef bacon, and combine it with the beans. It probably had that kind of flavor that would be very, very appealing. And I don't remember what they taste like either. That's a good one, CR. I just took a bite of this apple cinnamon cereal bar. And because there's apple in this, it kind of works together. There are raisins in here, but The cinnamon, I can just barely get the cinnamon. They probably didn't want to put so much in it that it might scare some people off of it, but for those of us that really like cinnamon, probably could have used a little bit more, but it's soft like a soft bake, like a soft granola bar. Yeah, and I was mentioning trying, cooking up some beef bacon, draining a can of butter beans, and then cooking them in that beef bacon fat. And you break up the beef bacon while you're cooking those beans in that fat, and then you combine them together. I might actually have to do that. So when I go shopping next month, I might go ahead and look for butter beans, or I might just hold that off until maybe October, because next month my mosque is having an international food day, and I want to find something Polish that is an easy recipe that is, very simple to upsize and very easy to cook. I will do it there in the mosque kitchen instead of trying to do it here at home and then trying to transport. When you don't drive, that makes it very difficult. To carry a huge load of food by bus. Yeah, we are possibly going to have it the third weekend in September. And in the past, that has been the weekend of the White Eagle Multicultural Powwow. But due to scheduling issues at Jester Park, we changed it to the second weekend. And that is actually going to work out better for all of the committee members. I'm on the organizing committee, even though I'm not indigenous. I am Polish, but I kind of fell into it. First, just hanging out, doing the kids' crafts, and then I got 2 wagons off of Amazon. Because of their screw up, they said I could keep the second. And so I decided to donate one of them to the powwow committee, and then I just stayed on the committee. And at the meeting, they said they were considering getting one, and then I show up with one. So the one that I kept for myself, I took a Sharpie and wrote the letter S all over it for my last name, because they're the same color. So I take my wagon, and someone else has the one that I donated. So we actually use both of them. And that makes moving stuff around a lot easier when you're unloading a lot of stuff, because we use a trailer to haul the teepee poles and the teepee canvases that their owners may not be able to transport themselves, or we have other canopies with their support poles that are set up, among other things. So a lot of the smaller supplies or boxes of things put in those wagons, move them around, and that definitely helps out. So I've been doing that for several years. So that will be the second weekend of September. And the person that I do it with for the kids' crafts, she has moved back to Iowa. So in the past she has had to, she flew into town, got whatever rental car was available, not too expensive. And last year was a really small one, so she had to make 2 trips with the craft supplies that she has stored here at a relative's house, plus what she brought with her, or what she would pick up from our storage container that we have. And then when she picks me up and my stuff, but now she doesn't have to worry about dealing with some car she is not familiar with. She got herself a car here, or she drove the one that she had out when she's living out east and just got Iowa plates on it. I don't know how she did that, but yeah, she is here in Iowa, so she doesn't have to worry about that kind of stuff. So she has a job here she's already started. So after the Friday prayer is done at the mosque on that Friday the 11th, I'll come home. I'll get all my stuff down to the entrance because I will have been done packing. And then she will pick me up, and we'll get to Jester Park, and we'll just immediately start unloading and finishing setup. I think my table might be a bit crooked, but oh well. Yeah, you silly CR. If you could come down here to Des Moines, I think you would find all kinds of interesting foods to try. In fact, the last weekend of this month, we are having our World Food Day, but it is also Music Day over at the same place where the Des Moines Art Festival was in June, where the White Eagle Powwow Committee had a booth in the nonprofit section, and many of those booths had simple craft projects that kids could either do right there or take them home. And we had a bunch of little teepee kits at that, and we gave out a whole mess of those things. But there were some food trucks there as well as a couple of stages, but the music for that did not take place till the evening. But the World Food Music Festival is at the Western Gateway Park last weekend of this month. But that Saturday, for a few hours, the White Eagle Powwow Committee will be at another event with a booth similar to what we did at the art festival, but it will not be as much time over there. It'll just be a few hours. So I may not hit up the food festival here. Yes, yeah, I bet you would. Even up there, you would probably be using Google Earth. Yeah, these are, the Western Gateway Park is easy to get to by bus. And when we did the art festival booth there, I used my little grocery hauler suitcase to I hold my power station, my Opus power station, and a fan that was a freebie find, a tabletop fan that plugs into regular outlet. So that's why I took the power station, so I could power that fan, because there was no hookup there where our booth was. And then one of the others brought a similar fan, but it was battery powered, or it was a rechargeable. So mine was set up in one corner, and his is set up in the opposite corner, aimed at each other. So that definitely helped with airflow. So I will be taking my that same fan and my Opus power station to this other event, and then I will do it again. I took it last year. I took my Opus power station to the powwow last year, but it was not needed. I even took my Opus solar panel, but that stayed in the vehicle because that was not needed. Didn't need the power station, but I had it there anyway, just in case. And I will do that again. I may even take that fan. So I'll discuss that with the others. But tomorrow's meeting, we will focus on the charity event. It is actually started by Dolly Parton. Her charity is it's a literacy foundation, I believe, to promote literacy. And improved education. So I don't think she will be there, but who knows? We won't know until we get up there and set up, and people start moving around the area where all the different booths are. But who knows, if she's there and she comes over, I might try to grab a picture. Now this fan is a round fan. It's a tabletop. It pivots, or it does not swivel, it does not oscillate, but you can angle it up or down. So it's about this big around. See, about from this end of my tray to about here. It has 3 speeds, and even on the high speed, it's pretty quiet, and it does move the air. It's a little bit bigger than the fan that one of the other committee members brought to the art festival, but it served the same purpose. And with both of those fans going, that definitely helped move the air, because it was hot and humid, especially Sunday. Yeah, that Sunday, the last Sunday in June, it was humid. It was just the heat, it was the humidity. So I was knocking back the electrolyte drinks. I drank 2 that I had mixed. Say, in this bottle and in another bottle, the Body Armor Lemon Lime. I had the last 2 of those that I had. I mixed those up, and then I had one of those U.S. Emery lemonade stick drink packets, the sugar-free ones. I put half of that in each bottle along with that Body Armor electrolyte mix and shook that up. And then I had another electrolyte drink that was already pre-made. So I drank about half of that when it was time to pack up. When the art festival ended, we were packing up and getting ready to haul tail out of there, and I drank the rest of that one while I was waiting for a bus. Yeah, I have heard about her health issues, so she will have representatives from her foundation there. So I'm sure everybody who is involved with that know about what's up with her health, and hopefully she can get all that resolved and she can get back to a normal life. I only have enough of this jam for that piece of biscuit, so Make a sandwich out of it. We had two performers who were supposed to be at the Iowa State Fair, but one had to cancel because of a tour bus crash. And he was supposed to perform on one of the free stages. And then Rod Stewart canceled because he had a sudden health emergency that he had to deal with. So he had to cancel a bunch of shows himself. So the people who had tickets to the Rod Stewart show got refunds. And the replacement act did their show for free. Thanks for dropping in, Tim. And then for the guy who was injured in a tour bus crash, because that was a free show to begin with, his replacement also performed for free. But the fair administration was very, very good at quickly finding replacement performers. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a backup list of performers they can pull in just in case one cancels for a sudden reason. Yeah. It's like John Wayne covered for Rod Stewart. Yeah, he took Rod Stewart's place. And I forget the name of the guy who filled in for the guy who was on the free stage. I did not go to the fair, but my niece and my great niece went. And I do not know what all they did, but the pictures that I've seen so far on my niece's Facebook page look like they're having a good time. And some other local friends here did go to the fair. I was given a little bit of gift money in July, late July, but I chose to spend some of that on necessities, and then the rest was my thrift store shopping. So I did that instead of go to the fair. Maybe next year I'll go to the fair. I'm not. It's been probably since 2017 or 18 is the last time I went to the fair. But I can hear the fireworks from here. Or at least the loudest ones, even with my windows closed. You know, the way the streets are, you go up Grand Avenue, which is not, I'll just say it's not too far from here. Straight east on Grand Avenue, even if it's occasional jogs, that'll take you straight to the fairgrounds in what they call the Grand Concourse, where the Varied Industries building is, which is one of the main exhibit halls, and the grandstand, which has a few buildings on either end of it. And that part of the fairgrounds is on Grand Avenue. Well, I'm going to finish off this last piece of meatball. Yeah, I cannot, even if I go outside onto my deck or out into the park across the street, I could not hear any of the music. It's just not close enough for me to hear that. But the fireworks, I'm not sure where they're shot off from. They may do it from the river. I know after Iowa Cubs games, sometimes I shoot off fireworks after the game, and they do that from the river. But yeah, I can hear those fireworks. I'll have to ask my niece and great niece if they tried any of the new foods that are introduced. Yeah, what all did they do? The big draw, one of the big draws at the Iowa State Fair is the butter cow and the companion butter sculpture. So every year, a butter sculptor takes a bunch of butter, a few hundred pounds, and it's just soft enough where she can mold it onto a base frame, just to be the support structure for it. And then she forms it into a different breed of cow each year. And then there's a companion sculpture. I think last year Caitlin Clark was in the cooler next to the butter cow. And this year it was the Pepsi clock, which used to have another logo on it many years ago before I ever first went to the fair. But it has had the Pepsi logo on there for a long time. And the old saying was, you're in a group and you split apart and then you get back together. You say, meet me by the Pepsi clock, and everybody knows what that is. It's like an icon of the fairgrounds, and because of its colors, it matches with this year's theme which is in conjunction with the America 250, 250 years of the U.S. being a country, and because its colors blend in with that. That is probably why that Pepsi clock was chosen as a companion sculpture to share the exhibit cooler with the butter cow. Thanks for dropping in, CR. I hope to see you back next week because I think you might be intrigued by these goring noodles. I know I'm intrigued by it. I can't wait to dig into that. And pumpkin is down here to my left. I'm going to slide this just a little bit to my right. Maybe you can see her down there. Here's Pumpkin. She likes to walk underneath my chair. Come here, Pumpkin. Come here, kitty. Pumpkin kitty. My viewers want to see the tortie girl. Yes, they did, Pumpkin. Do you want to see the pretty little tortie girl? So there's your glimpse of Pumpkin for the night. Last Sunday, she was quite talkative during my stream when she was out here. Weren't you, Pumpkin? She's a little bit quieter tonight. Are you just a chillin' cat, Pumpkin? You just a chillin' cat? Yeah, she's actually underneath my chair again. Sometimes she just hangs out there for a little bit. What do you think, Pumpkin? What do you think? What's on your little mind, Pumpkin? She was looking up from, she was standing on at the end of my little table. And she goes back underneath my chair and she'll walk behind it. That's just what she does. Don't you, Pumpkin? And of course she rubs on anything and everything. Typical cat. Is that you, Pumpkin? You typical cat? You typical cat, Pumpkin? Silly little dirty girl. The pretty little dirty girl. What you think, Pumpkin? She's sniffing the carpet for something. No, I didn't drop anything, Pumpkin. I didn't drop anything for the kitty. I didn't drop anything for the kitty, Pumpkin. Yeah, see? She's got a really cool face. It looks like, you know, on either underneath, around each eye is a slightly different color. On either side of the full black stripe that goes right down to her nose. The only bits of light color she has is on the very tip of her tail, just under her, on the underside of her neck, and a little spot on her belly in between her legs. And I would call it one finger on each of her front paws is a lighter color. I'll go ahead and move this back. So she has a bit of, it's not white, but it's a very, very light tan. So that's the lightest color she has. But you don't see most of that because, you know, so the bigger patches are on her neck. You know, you don't see that unless she's actually, she's looking up at you, or she may be laying in sprawled out and you might see it. And of course, in between her legs, just almost to her back end. And then of course, I call it one finger on each of her front paws is a lighter color, and of course the very tip of her tail. That is it for the light color. And the rest is that torty pattern. And it's a real cool look. I like the look of her face. Yeah, after I lost Mila, or I was thinking before Pumpkin came to live with me, I was thinking, yeah, after Mila goes, I want another tuxedo cat. But then Pumpkin came. So this little sign that I have hanging on my door that said a spoiled rotten tuxedo cat lives here. I took a red marker and put an X over the word tuxedo, and then in a black marker I wrote the word torty, as if I was doing a writing correction. So I did that on that little sign. Yeah, I'm going after these crumbs. Because why not? So that's what I did to that sign that's hanging on my door. I used one of those command hooks. So that'd be easy to pull down if I had to. But oh, though she can have an attitude at times. I love that cat just as much as I love Mila. Although I will always keep Mila's face as my profile picture on all of my accounts, because I figure if I change it, someone might wonder I'm if my profile is not legit, or I could be faking, pretending to be someone else. Just like the Joe Robinette, who's up in Canada, he had a profile picture that was an outline of his first adventure dog, Scout. That was his name, but after that dog died, and he has had additional dogs since, he still keeps that profile picture of his original adventure dog. He rode in Joe's boat. He hiked with him. He camped with him. But that profile picture, that is the outline of Scout's head, that is still on his channel. Mila has a more special place in my heart. She was just a unique cat. And Pumpkin is back down here. Here's that pretty little toy girl. What's on your lips, Kitty Mine, Pumpkin? Pumpkin is at least twice the size of Mila. And my feeder holds, when I was buying cat food in a 3.15 pound bag, that thing could hold one of those and be full. And Mila would need a month to go through that amount of food. Pumpkin eats more of it, so she takes 3 weeks to go through that same amount of food. So I decided to upsize to the 13-pound bag, and I have that on Amazon Subscribe and Save. So I get that like every 3 months. So that makes it easier for me to keep her stocked up on cat food. Yeah. Now, some people it is hard. I mean, way back, I don't have those pictures stored on phones because I've changed phones quite a few times since I had my birds. But I could scroll way back in my Facebook of the birds that I had. And I see people having similar birds to the one I had, or at least the parakeet or budgie. I've seen some people have a budgie that looked exactly like Lech, blue, black, and white budgie that I had. I don't see pictures of zebra finches. I don't see pictures of canaries. Of course, I'm not actively looking for them. Or a European linnet. I had one of those birds for a short time, but he didn't live very long. And I had a peach face violet factor lovebird. Don't see too many pictures of birds like that. Of course, I'm not looking for them, but some of my Facebook friends have the budgies, and I see one. It reminds me of Lech. You know, the birds that I did have, I gave them all Polish names. So Lech was named after Lech Walesa, the first democratically elected president of Poland. The couple that I got him from did not name him. And he was in a smaller cage, so I got him into a bigger cage. And then his original smaller cage was for zebra finches. I kept 2 zebra finches at a time. They did not live very long. But when the first pair died, I got a second pair. And I got another cage. I had a European linnet in. I got him at a bird show. He did not live very long, but he was a cool bird. You know, they're about the size of a canary. And then I got a canary after that. But yeah, Mila is a Polish word that means cute or pretty. So when I got Pumpkin, I chose not to force a new name on her. I figured the people I got her from, because they're, you know, friends on Facebook, and of course the one is a YouTuber. Johnny, he has changed his channel name a few times, but I post them, you know, videos of Pumpkin or pictures on Facebook. And because I wanted to keep her name, you know, I don't want to do that to an animal. If they come to me with a name, I keep that name. But if an animal comes to me and does not have a name, then I'll pick a Polish name. Who knows, maybe my next cat will be named Pierogi. Or Kielbasa, I don't know. I think Pierogi would be better. But yeah, Pumpkin, I'm keeping her name the same. Yeah, still got 4 watching me ramble about cats and birds and who knows what. So let's see. I think I'm going to go ahead and make some decisions for next Sunday's meal. Again, the entree will be this goreng noodles. So this, I'm looking at the ingredients. This has soy sauce, so it might be a bit, that'll be some savory Asian style. And it has mushroom in it, a red onion, so that's a change. Has chicken broth and vegetable broth. So it also has carrot and cabbage in it, so there's kind of a theme going here. It does not have the bell pepper. But I think it sounds intriguing. I'm not sure if the spicy sauce will go with that or if I'll just not even bother with it. So this will be an interesting thing to try. So I might go with a grapefruit juice to go along with that. And out of this bag, I may go with these fruit biscuits. And probably the chocolate hazelnut spread. I'm not sure if I will go with this vanilla cake. And these barbecue peanuts I will save for the third meal. I'll have one of the instant soups, probably the vegetable, because that curry soup may be, it's completely solid. Of course, with the tuna, I'll use those tortillas, and I'll have those Nut Walker barbecue peanuts. I'm not sure if I will use that peanut butter or if I will just sit on it for another time. I will have one of the teas. This is lime and pepper as opposed to lemon pepper tuna. I'm just dropping that back into the ration bag. That was one of the things that had to be cleaned off because somehow the apricot jam I forgot to put this back in there. The apricot jam somehow it was either an overfill or something happening when it was when that packet was being filled, and some had leached out. But then when I opened, I cleaned off that packet. None of that jam squeezed out, so that made me think that it had to come from outside during the filling. And then it was just not caught by quality control, and it ended up being thrown into what they call the energy module, the snacks and the tissue and the spoon, the gums, that stuff. The toothpick was in there. I had to clean off the vitamin D tablet packet. I had to clean off the tuna pouch and the toothpick wrapper. But all that cleaned up pretty good. And there's nothing wrong with the apricot jam itself. It's just somehow some got onto the outside of it and then stuck to some of the other things in that bag. But the bag itself, there's none on the inside of that Ziploc bag, so that makes me happy. Now, when I do the third meal with that lime pepper tuna, I may bring in a little something from my kitchen to add to that tuna. When I put it in the tortillas, I may mix a little something in there. And I will have to find some crackers to have with that soup, because I went ahead and ate those Ukrainian biscuits. They were a little bit sweet, not something I would pair with the soup. Yeah, I went ahead and ate those for a snack, so those are gone. But I will find something to have with that soup. The vegetable soup. So actually, I do have some of the U.S. Emery vegetable crackers. I do have that, so I may bring that in just for fun. And again, I may bring something else in to mix with that lime pepper tuna when I put that in the tortillas, because that's how I plan on eating that. So that will be my third meal. So the orange drink will come out for that. And I will have the cocoa mix for my hot drink. I could take one of those coffee packets and throw it in there, and then throw some of my creamer for my kitchen in there, and maybe some sugar, I don't know, and make an army mocha. I might do that or I might not. But that cocoa, I had it before and it is pretty good, so who knows what I'll do with that, but I'll think of something. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can do with tuna. I could grab some like a mayonnaise packet. I do have some mayonnaise packets. I could get some pickle relish and some Miracle Whip. Mix that with the tuna. Your typical tuna salad, but put it in the tortillas. That's what I could do that. That's another idea. So I'll think of something. Of course, that will be the first Sunday in September that I will do that. Who knows? I could squeeze that spicy sauce in there. Or maybe not. But I'll have a couple weeks to think about that one. But again, I got this from Mike Kreischer. When I am done with the stream, I'll go ahead and add the thumbnail, which I can do afterwards. And I will take the question marks out of the title since Mike confirmed it is a Dutch ration, even though all the Orful stuff is made in Denmark. The tortillas are Breakford, so they're an American product sent across the pond to go in this ration. Yeah. All kinds of stuff I could do with that tuna, but I don't want to completely obliterate that lime flavor. Not that there's probably a whole lot of it in there anyway. The last one, I had that same tuna from the previous Dutch ration that I had, but that didn't have a whole lot of that lime flavor. I don't know, maybe I will intentionally obliterate it and just cover it with another flavor just to change it up. And like I said, I got a couple of weeks to figure that one out. But next week I'm definitely looking forward to trying this goring noodle hot pack or wet pack as opposed to a dried noodle. And maybe that'll go good with the grapefruit drink. So I finished off the exotic. Hardly any residue left in the bottom. Well, I got 3 teas, so I'll pick one of those for next week. And of course, what I do not use, like the extra drink mixes, because I got 6 cold drink powders. I, I got that protein. Actually, that gives me an idea. That protein drink, I could mix that with the cocoa mix and a coffee. Maybe it won't taste so much like a protein drink if I do that. That could be an interesting experiment to try. Yeah, I do not have soy sauce packets. I haven't had any of those for a while, and the last ones I had actually used. But I would have to go to a Chinese restaurant, get a meal, and then nip a couple of them. Or try to buy them online. And I've used all of my sweet and sour packets, my sweet and sour sauce packets that I've had. But I have all these hot sauces from different rations. You know, the Tabasco, the Hot Diggity Dog from British Rations. I have never actually used any of those. I sent one to Mike Kreischer. I thought he would enjoy having that. But apparently you can't get that in British Rations anymore, which is a bummer. So I should probably use one of those Hot Diggity Dog sauces in something. But I got the spicy sauces. The same spicy sauce as in this ration also comes in the Norwegian Arctic Field rations. Orifo puts a lot of their stuff in different rations in different countries. Just like Homipsa does now. They're branching out. But yeah, I will look for something to jazz up that tuna to make it a little more interesting. And I will look for some crackers to have with that soup. Maybe I'll look for some or maybe pita chips might work. Or I could use those vegetable crackers, which I have. I have one pair of the USMRE vegetable crackers. I do have one of those. I could use that with that vegetable soup. But I got a while to think about that. Yeah, and I don't want to buy a huge box of those just to get a few, unless I want to donate them to my mosque, but I don't know if some of those things would be appealing to the majority of the members there. And at the White Eagle Powwow, there is a kitchen that is for the volunteers, committee members, performers, and vendors. But then there are food trucks for attendees or anyone who wants to get something from one of the food trucks. And I hit up the one that had the bubble tea drinks, and I got a chocolate bubble drink, which is pretty interesting. But I think the menu for the volunteer performer kitchen, I think that's almost set. So last year I took the leftover blueberry compote that I made for the International Food Day at my mosque, and some of that was served there, and then what was not served there was the two pictures that were used. The person who owns those pictures took what was in those pictures to take home, and then someone took a bag that was still half frozen, and then I took a bag and a half, or maybe a bag and a third, that had not been used. So I had that for my enjoyment here at home. But I had made a huge amount of it, thinking that a lot of people would be interested in it, but not a huge number were. But those that did try it, they liked it. But I want to try something different for the International Food Day at my mosque. But since that will be after the powwow, any leftovers will just be shared among the mosque members. So I want to think about what I'm going to get for that. So my September shopping may be a little bit narrow focused as far as some things, but I will go after something easy that I can upsize the recipe without burning too many brain cells. Oh yeah. Am I going to have to rent another apartment to store all that? Yeah, I'll go for smaller quantities. Of stuff like that, but I do want some of the Asian style condiment packets. I did use one of my Russian ketchups not all that long ago. It was a little different than, it's definitely different than an American ketchup, but I thought it was good. Now that I've finished my coffee, I'm probably going to go ahead and call this one done. But this is definitely a good start, a unique entree, but very enjoyable. I haven't had a unique Indian dish in quite some time. I might get a korma or something close to korma at the mosque during Ramadan, or some other meal, or someone who knows how to cook that style of food may bring that. But something like this, if someone made something like this for and brought it to the mosque for Ramadan, I think it would be a big hit. Especially those who like a bit of tang in their food, and I really did enjoy this. Oh, that's actually not bad. That is not a bad price at all for 100 packets. Although I might not be interested in getting that many. I just may go to a restaurant and nip a few. But I'll think about that another time. I'm going to go ahead and close this one out. This is definitely a good start with this ration. Again, thanks to Mike Kreischer Reviews for sending this to me in trade for that Ukrainian ration that I sent him. And I did enjoy every bit of that, except for the home IPSA packaging on the apple paste and the jam. That packaging is just horrible. But all the food in there was really good, and I was glad to get a hold of that menu 3. Yeah, I would definitely recommend that if you can find it. And as our fishy friend did, hit the like thingy if you haven't already, and come back next Sunday for a Dutch take on a goring noodle. Thanks for watching, and catch you on the flip side.